Have you ever thought that a simple phone call could completely change your life? Imagine a day like any other, immersed in the daily routine, when suddenly everything falls apart. This is the story of Luca, a man who lived this experience and who, in a few minutes, saw his world turn upside down. It is a story of guilt, redemption, and love. A story that could touch you deeply and make you reflect on what is truly important in life. But before we get into it, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss other stories like this. And remember to stay until the end, because what Luca will discover at the end of his story is something that no one could have ever imagined. It was an afternoon like any other for Luca, in the office, overwhelmed by paperwork, documents to sign, and with the incessant sound of keyboards in the background. That feeling of routine had almost put him to sleep when the phone rang. He saw his daughter Julia's name on the display, and at first he didn't think anything strange was wrong. But the voice on the other end made him jump. "Dad, it's Mom. She's feeling sick. You have to come to the hospital right away." Luca's heart started pounding. His head was spinning. There was no time to ask questions. He just knew he had to run to them. The drive to the hospital was a nightmare. Every traffic light seemed to last too long, and every second brought him to a new level of anxiety. As he drove, his thoughts raced faster than the car. Since separating from his wife Anna, Luca had believed that sending money every month was enough to take care of his family. He thought it was enough to ensure Julia and Anna a peaceful life. But now he realized how wrong he had been. When he arrived at the hospital, the cold of the corridors, the sound of the monitors, and the smell of disinfectant made him feel more vulnerable than ever. He found Julia, her face streaked with tears, sitting on a plastic chair, exhausted from waiting. "Dad, Mom is really sick," she said between sobs, her words almost suffocated by the tears. Luca held her tight, trying to reassure her, but he felt his heart breaking. When he entered Anna's room, his world fell apart. The woman he had loved, once so full of life, now lay in a hospital bed, pale and frail as he had ever seen her. The doctors explained to him that she was malnourished, a condition he had never expected to see in her. Her hair was dull, her skin was tight and visibly marked by lack of strength. As he tried to understand how this was possible, Julia revealed an even more painful truth. "Dad, Grandma didn't really help us. She used the money you sent for herself. Sometimes we didn't even have enough food." In that moment, Luca realized how much he had failed, not only as a husband, but above all as a father. He had allowed distance, both physical and emotional, to distance him from the people he loved most. Julia's words hit him like a punch in the stomach. Isabella, Anna's mother, who should have taken care of them, had instead taken advantage of the situation, letting her daughter and granddaughter suffer in silence. Anger and guilt mixed in a vortex of emotions. But Luca knew he couldn't let it get the better of him. He had to fix it, and fast. Luca decided to confront Isabella, his mother-in-law, whom he had always considered a difficult woman but never evil. He went to her house, and finding her sitting quietly reading a magazine, asked her for explanations. "Isabella, how could you do such a thing? How could you do this to your daughter and your granddaughter?" The woman tried to justify herself, talking about sacrifices and merits that she thought she had accumulated, but Luca could not believe what he was hearing. The bitterness of those years of separation now transformed into awareness. It was more serious than he had imagined. he decided he could not solve it alone. He asked for help from Anna's father, Manuel, a man who had always been fair and respected by everyone. Together, they decided to report Isabella to the authorities, gathering evidence of what they had discovered. At this point, I would like to ask you, what would you have done in Luca's place? Write your opinion in the comments, because the actions we take in the face of difficult situations truly reveal who we are. The legal process was long and painful, but necessary. Isabella was arrested for negligence and financial fraud. The news, while relieving, was also bitter. Luca knew that Anna and Julia's road to recovery would be long, but at least now they could focus on their future, free from Isabella's negative influence. To help Anna heal, Luca decided to take her to live with him. He created a safe and loving environment for her, where she could recover both physically and emotionally. Every day, he prepared nutritious meals and made sure that Anna followed the doctor's instructions. Julia, even though she was so young, showed extraordinary strength, helping her mother and finding the smile she had lost for too long. It was as if, slowly, the pieces of their life were starting to fall back into place. If you are enjoying this story, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and consider leaving a super thank you. With your support, we will have more and more means to create content like this. Meanwhile, Luca couldn't stop reflecting on how absent he had been in his family's life. Every moment wasted, every word left unsaid, weighed like boulders on his heart. But he knew he couldn't change the past. He could only do better for the future. He decided to commit to being present, not just physically, but emotionally. Day after day, the family began to find balance again, and Luca realized that happiness doesn't lie in avoiding problems, but in overcoming them together. One day, while they were gathered for dinner, Luca did something unexpected. After preparing a special dessert, he took Anna to the garden under the stars. With his heart in his throat, he took her hand and said, "Anna, I know I've made many mistakes, but I want to make up for it. I love you, and I want us to be a family again." Then he took out a ring and asked her to marry him again. Anna, with tears in her eyes, accepted. Julia, who was watching them from afar, ran to hug them. It was a sign that they had overcome difficulties and that, despite everything, they were ready to start over. Thanks for watching till the end. See you in the next video.